Well, fair enough. Quick meeting.
Janice just let me know that she...
Oh, she did? Oh, shit.
Sick.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes of the previous meeting?
Sort of.
So I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
First, do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Financial report, everybody get a chance to look at that in your packet? Any questions for Robert or Tim?
Nothing unusual.
Then we'll move on to our update. 1760 Millward.
Yeah, so, I ordered basically back, starting right after the meeting that we had here, started looking at the rebuild and getting quotes on the rebuild and wanting to go larger, and realistically with the pricing that things are at right now, it's not doable for me. I'm about to spend 3 times the money on rebuilding that building than what I bought the building for originally. So, we're going same footprint, going right up on the slab. Ordered the building back in, I want to say, beginning of November. They told me that it would be here by the end of the year, and then towards the end of the year, it turned into the end of January, and then end of January, now I was updated in that they will have the building set for delivery on the 1st of March. So, crews coming in to put it up they tell me 6 to 7 weeks for the build out. I've got a new design layout for it, so I'm still going to do, I'm actually going to occupy less space because of how we're laying the building out, and being able to use a smaller footprint, and I will have an open south half, so to speak, that can be separated into 4 tenant spaces if 4 people want to go in there. I'm open to, when we start advertising it available, which I'm not going to do that until the materials are on site. I'm going to allow, if somebody wants to take all 4 sections, then we just won't build it out that way. We'll just build it so that they have that whole half. So ideally, I still really want to focus on giving an opportunity for other businesses like, similar to my own, to have a home to go to, because the area really doesn't have anything. I'm in the old Imes building, and I'm here to tell you that that thing is a gem, and it's really counterproductive almost in a way because of the shape that the building's in. And in all reality, it's the only building in town that lends to a light industrial manufacturing type situation. So I'm kind of hoping that with the rebuild across the street, we can provide a space for somebody that wants to do light manufacturing or something that they have a home to run out of, so to speak, and then hopefully they can kind of expand. And I assume we still have lots available back here that, so ideally I'm going to try to pull somebody from out of Rochester to come out this way. And there's a couple of businesses in town that are looking, kind of like through the grapevine situation, but those guys they're living in the past as far as cost per square foot of lease space. So I've just kind of given up on that route of maybe trying to get somebody locally in there, which I think probably bodes better for the city anyway, to try to get somebody out here that's new. So that's the plan so far, but we just have had 0 slowdown too throughout this whole thing. So I don't even, I mean, by the time that, depending upon what happens with things moving through the spring and building materials, on our side of the industry, we may not be able to have a tenant in there, we may have to take the whole thing. So it just, you know, the initial plan is, building is up, shell is up by mid-April, and we're back to, hopefully, back to getting things set up and possibly running by July. And that's if, I mean, you still can't get, service boxes and breakers and, you know, I mean, it's, for electrical stuff, for this kind of equipment. I mean, I have all brand new equipment purchased, and it's all mine, but some of those pieces are not stateside yet, and no one can tell me where they are. Like, one company, it's sitting in a container on a ship outside of the port. So I don't even know if I'll have my equipment by June or July. So that's where I'm at with the rebuild side of things with the building. And I thought, going this route, if we get some sort of level off with building materials, I'm always, the way I'm building this building, I'm gonna be able to expand coming this way to the east. So that's kind of in the plans with how the building's being built, is being able to pour more slab, come this way. So it doesn't make financial sense for me to build the entire structure right to completion right out of the gate because of how expensive building materials are right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
As good as
kind
what
of
they
a
tell you.
crapshoot, right? Because I can sit here and tell you this is when I'm gonna be back up and operating across the street, but the truth of the matter is that, I mean, the building was supposed to be almost up by now, right? We'd have another couple of weeks and then I'd be looking at getting mechanicals put in, but we don't even have a building yet. In fact, I don't even have a permit for building because right now, I don't even have engineered drawings back yet for the building. So they're producing the building, but I don't have engineered plans yet. So I don't understand how that's working, but I was like, well, if it's coming at the end of this month, I would imagine that I'll have those plans sometime in the next week or two. But we're just waiting on everyone else, unfortunately.
Like everything.
Yeah, it's a bad deal all the way around, and the worst part is I'm losing money every single day that I'm not able, because we don't have three-phase at Dick's building. And the city didn't really have, all of the materials on hand to be able to provide the three-phase right away, and then I would've had to have done that back in early fall, and at the time with the building, I was like, you know what, by the time you guys actually service the place with three-phase, I'll probably be looking at putting it all back into the building. So I didn't do anything with it. I said, well, just let it lay. And now I'm like, you know, building keeps getting pushed back, so, yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to get back into my space. So I'll push as much as I can. I just, you know, at some point, you're just beating your head against the wall waiting, so. It's the new construction era, I guess.
Goes,
Right, yeah.
Appreciate the update, though.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Any other questions, or am I?
No, that's good.
Am I free to go?
You are free to go.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as soon as, I mean, you'll know, right? 'Cause
We'll
you
see
guys
it.
will see it go up. so.
Activity.
Look out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks,
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, up next is our coordinator's report.
Sure. So I've been working a little bit with Chaotic Good Brewing, working on acquiring the Ocean Mist car wash into a tap room and move the brewing operations into there. So we see a little bit later they submitted a pre-application for a Revolving loan fund, and I've been helping them do some initial marketing because they're trying to raise some bridge capital with a founding members program. The Hamilton project, they presented to both the school board and the county board on the 24th and 25th of January, and they've requested 8 years of tax abatement. Both of those boards are expected to make decisions next week, February 7th and the 8th, and then we'll be bringing it to the council on the 9th for our formal approval of the assistance as well. So continuing to push that along. On the school redevelopment, the lawsuit has been dismissed, and the developer, Mr. Warschauer, is reorganizing and looking forward, making some good connections. It sounds like he's brought on another partner, a local developer who's reputable, and I won't share that just yet, but I think that partnership will be good to push that project forward. And then he and I have had a couple calls about working towards a request for some TIF for that project as well. He released a press release saying that he wants to raise about $4 million, $2 million in private equity investors, and then $2 million in public assistance, not including the tax credits. So we'll work to figure out what he means by that, because I don't think that that site will carry that much tax capacity. Building offer from Trail Creek Coffee Roasters. I actually just heard back from them yesterday, and they have accepted the offer from the committee, and so we'll discuss that in other business later on in the agenda. I've been meeting with some of the county staff working on bridging the gap of childcare slots. So community education has about a wait list of 40 slots open right now. And so on Wednesday, they're going to be touring Plaza 57 to talk about how they can work to get a center there. We don't think a full center is the right way to go, but some sort of bridge in between, just because we don't want to have a negative impact on the in-home providers that are in the area. On the downtown lots, Downtown Improvement Task Force met earlier this month, continuing to engage with businesses. They have an initial map of businesses and activities that they're going to provide for the March 12th activity. And so that's squaring up nicely, and it's quite exciting. Smith and Rethos have partnered to provide 3 communities no-cost downtown assessments. Those assessments typically are valued at around $10,000. So we have applied for this and should hear back in April to have some of Rethos staff come out and get a second pair of eyes on downtown and think through some strategic planning around that. And then on the EDA grant, I'm working with our grants department to get a final review done, hoping to have that wrapped up at least by the 3rd week in February, so that we meet that March 15th deadline with more than enough time. Southeast Minnesota Transit Committee, they've continued to meet and work through their process. They're in the process of hiring a consultant to do some outreach and public engagement with the other cities in the region. CEDA is one of their top 3 proposed consultants for that project. On the Food Impact Hub, Renewing the Countryside has agreed to take a leadership position to push the project forward, and they're engaging with a group of investors that are part of what's called the Slow Money Movement, which grew out of the Slow Food Movement, which is all about local foods, and so Slow Money is about local investment. And so they're pitching it to a group of investors there to talk about acquiring the old Images by Design building and turning it into a commercial kitchen there. So that's an exciting development on that front. The building is currently off the market right now because it wasn't showing well. So they're making improvements, flooring, painting, those things, and are expected to come back on the market soon. But I think that gives us a little bit more time to pull together some investors behind the scenes. On the Vail property, our outreach to TPI Hospitality was, the time is just not right to invest in a hotel, and so you'll find a letter in there discussing some of the issues that they're having, much of it around the inflation of construction costs and the uncertainty in the hospitality sector. And so as we're thinking about moving forward on the Vail property, I just don't think hospitality is going to get there. So we're going to think more strategic really around low density, affordable housing and some multifamily housing as well.
Okay.
Isn't that what we're doing, the Vale property is the housing?
Well, that's the Hamilton project, but I'm
Yep.
doing some additional outreach, but we have to sell the other lots as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's in addition to Hamilton.
City Administrator's report?
Sure, and you've got my report there. Just a couple things to add. The Sandcorp, Dan and I, we talked about this yesterday. I did notice in the news that they had applied again for their tax credits from the state of Minnesota, and that list came out yesterday. It was reported, and there are a couple projects in Rochester that did get funded, but the project from they didn't get the funding they wanted there. So it sounded like, Robert did a little research, and it sounded like from the looks of it, they're looking for quite a bit of help, so it may not be, we feel like the Hamilton folks are probably more of a bankable, customer, but I don't know if they'll plan on reapplying again or not, but, excuse me, let's see here. Other than that, I mean, really, I don't have a lot of other things to add, so if there's any questions. We're watching Rochester, they're looking at re-upping their sales tax, so in the past, there was some of the outlying communities received kind of a bump from that, so I don't know if that would be a possibility in the future again or not, but we'll see if I think they probably will move forward to re-it up. Yeah, but it'll go on the ballot this fall, so it depends on the voters in Rochester, but other than that, that's what I've got.
Thank you. Up next is our Chaotic Good Brewing Revolving Loan Fund pre-application.
Yes, so the loan committee did do an initial read of the pre-application, the request fits the parameters of our program, and so the committee has recommended that the EDA request a full application from Chaotic Good Brewing, but they are requesting a loan of $50,000 and a total project cost of $250,000 for the building acquisition. So that's, only the building acquisition is included as part of this. All of their renovations will be a separate loan. And I think they're seeking some of that from the county.
Any questions on that request, or we want to move forward and go ahead and have them pull their docs?
I say move forward, pull the docs and see if they qualify.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're gonna hire people, and it's a good expansion.
Yeah. 4 jobs in year 1 and 3 additional in year 2.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and get a hold of them and move forward on it then? Yeah. We're already there. Awesome. Take a motion.
I'll move to approve moving forward with the revolving loan request.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next up is our review of the 2021 annual report.
So this was not included in your digital packet. I had to wrap it up a little bit, so I'll give you a chance to read through it, unless you want me to read through it out loud.
Looks good to me, thank you.
Yeah. It's hard, you start reading through it, you don't realize how many things we've done until you start.
Busy.
Yeah, that's good.
So you should take a motion to approve to send it to the city council.
Motion to approve.
First, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. A lot of stuff. Up next is our 2022 EDA Goal Setting. You'll see a list of what we had picked for 2021.
Yes, you have the original memo from 2021, as well as our action items from the Casson 2040 plan, help guide this conversation a little bit.
And I did not receive any updates from anybody, so if we have a little time to talk about it today, I think that'd be good. A couple of these things from last year, I think we've, either we've eliminated or we've accomplished, which
Mhm.
is good. I mean, taking a look at the community foundation, that was a priority that was kind of eliminated, because we didn't have the interest level or the support level for it. The Hinterman concrete lot, that's another item that it's still an interesting development opportunity for the right person, but I think the EDA felt at the time that it was probably outside of their bailiwick, in terms of moving forward with. The one to pull forward for sure would be the Highway 57 reconstruction. I mean, that one's moving forward, and I've talked to Robert, I mean, we kind of have set up what the EDA is planning on doing with that program-wise, but we'll also be flexible and just continue to monitor the situation and make sure that it's, and the same thing is with the EDA's profile in the community, that's an ongoing thing as well. But I think we have seen, more interest and more articles in the newspaper and that sort of thing. So I guess the question for this year would be, where are we moving? And, thank you, Robert, for including some of those 2020 action items too, maybe to give us some brainstorming ideas, so. So we are looking for a couple of new priorities to sort of help Robert and I kind of know what our workflow should be for the EDA priorities this year. Obviously, the Vail property is something we'll continue to work on too. Multifamily housing is a big thing the council set, so.
There's just ways that we can attract business. I don't know how.
Well, I will say that is one of my, retail recruitment is something that, we've talked about before, and that's probably, there's no easy fix for that. I talk to people, and usually that kind of stuff chases population. As the population keeps growing, we become more viable for a
Business
franchise restaurant or something like that. With the Shooty property going into development this year, I have a meeting scheduled on the 8th of February to talk to MnDOT, and hopefully we'll have the access issues identified and dealt with after that. So, that is going to be a potential commercial corridor on the north side of town by the school, but, that's still not short term. So, that's a tough thing, because there's no easy way to do it.
Right.
If somebody in town really wanted to do it, they could do it right now, because there is land available,
Yep.
On the south side, especially there, east of Quick Trip, there's some lots available to put something in, but we're not seeing that interest, and we can't force it either.
Right,
It's hard
exactly.
to do that, so.
And we're not gonna pay people to come here.
Right.
Unless the council decides otherwise, right?
Right.
Right, unless there was some business that we felt so strongly about, that we felt it was such a big priority that we wanted to do that. At this point in time, as Robert mentioned, hospitality sector is really pretty cagey, especially in secondary markets.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing is true with the commercial restaurant business, it's a hard business.
Right.
I was over at Rochester for a doc's appointment with my daughter, and we stopped at Chipotle on the north side, and their business hours right now are 10:45 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, and they're closed on Saturday and Sunday, completely. And that's the one by Target, on the north side, and it was kind of like, they know when their customers come, so obviously, to me, it was like Saturday, Sunday, you feel like that'd be shopping time or something like that, but obviously, that isn't really when they serve the most people. Or maybe they just can't get people to work those days.
Well, there is that.
The south one I've heard is just closed. Like, you can place orders there through Grubhub or whatever, but then you go there and it's closed.
Oh, really?
So there's
Well,
been a lot of ranting on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't see that, but it's one of those things that's kind of fascinating to me, But yeah, so to be in a secondary market too, not even being in Rochester, population density wise, it's a tough thing. But that's something we feel like we should be pursuing still, and as things hopefully improve, but it could be a while. So that's maybe an ongoing goal. I don't know if there's any of these other ones here that you guys saw or things you thought about since last month that you wanted to add to that priorities list, something that we haven't talked about before, or I just want to make sure that we're working on the things that you want us to be working on, because that's always our goal. We have a lot of pending things. The Vail property and the Hamilton real estate's taken a lot of time. Robert's been really good about getting to meetings when I can't get to them, and I really appreciate that.
Drove an hour all the way from Albert Lee for 10 p.m. school board meeting.
3-hour-long school board meeting, yeah. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Night drive is kind of fun, right?
Terrible night drive.
Yeah, sure.
Well, if anybody comes up with ideas too, they can deer in the year, sure.
I mean, the big priorities, the things we're already doing, right?
Yes.
57 thing has gotta be top of mind in front of the burner, because that's coming up sooner or later, and people have
Very
questions
soon.
about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and that's a good point. So,
Yeah.
Brandon is gonna be doing a kind of, not final briefing, but he will be briefing the Chamber of Commerce on next week. So they have their meeting on Wednesday next week, and he's gonna be doing lunch, WHKS is gonna be doing the lunch, and kind of giving them here's how it's gonna go, because the final plans have been approved by the state, and they also, fortunately for our sake, they did raise their cap. We were looking at about $3 million overage, and they're gonna eat about half of that, so that's good. But still gonna be a big, big project, so. But, I mean, in the long run, my goal is for it to be a positive. It's gonna create a new, hopefully more welcoming, more attractive corridor to have commercial business going through town. And that's ideal. I mean, how often do you get an opportunity to do that in a community? Not very often, so. But yeah, I agree. I mean, that's definitely a top priority. I mean, I guess in the, you guys go to different towns, you see things. I mean, if you come up with something, you say, hey, what about this? Have you guys thought about that? I mean, we're always looking for ideas of things to pursue,
I do think there's some low-hanging fruit out of these action steps in the comp plan, particularly around developing a master plan around downtown, and having wayfinding integrated into that.
Sure.
I think there's an opportunity for some cross-departmental stuff with parks, for example, around wayfinding, thinking about connectivity between those elements.
One of my thoughts is, how do we sell the lots we already have better? I mean, how do we, we've got these lots out here that have been sitting here for however long they've been sitting here, for a while. Mr. Bigelow's got lots down by Quick Trip that have been sitting for quite a while. I mean, we don't have to put any, there isn't any TIF required or tax abatement. I mean, these are already lots that have been built, they're accessible, that have sewer and water. Like, how do we connect people with those? And that's something because I drive past them every day, I drive past these lots, and it's like, this is kind of stupid. The city paid for a road to be built here for a nonprofit entity that doesn't pay any taxes, which I'm glad they have, SEMCAC's great, and the busing they do is important, but there wasn't any real benefit to the community from that, because most of those folks don't live here, that work there, and they're not paying any taxes, which is really at the baseline. That's what drives the city forward, is the tax revenue. So, I mean, how do we come up with a plan to sell those better or push those better? I don't know, but that's something I thought about, because it wouldn't really require us putting of the city's money into it, or the EDA's money into it, just a matter of trying to make it, I don't know, if we go and, hit Rochester harder and see if somebody wants to move out, or what,
Yeah, I mean, concentrate on the land we have, because we don't have that land. We want to see them filled.
Right.
But we don't
have control of it.
Right, we own the Vail property.
Right.
That should be the top priority.
Yeah.
Any land that we own, we don't want to own.
Right.
We should-
Well, and I mean, I think that, I agree. I mean, that is a top, as you know, we put a lot of time into it, and we're continuing to move forward on that one, but, just thinking of anything else that we're not doing already, that we, should be looking at, and think about it,
Yep.
What is what it is. If you can't think of anything today, please, like I said, if you drive around and you see something cool, let me know. Some city's doing something creative, we wanna try and figure out, because I'm always looking for good ideas, so.
Business attraction, a lot of it comes down to incentive packages, right? It's a business decision. If they don't have a tie to a community, right, it's unlikely that someone is just going to randomly move from out west to Casson unless it's incentivized in some way. So.
The tough part, because we did this recruitment program here 5 years ago. Escapes me the name of the company that we hired, but we paid them quite a bit of money. And it all came down to, well, for the retail stuff, we're not big enough. We need to be about double the size for some of the stuff that people had requested. We just aren't going to get it.
Right.
They just aren't going to build a Taco Bell hill here, no matter how many people really want a Taco Bell. They aren't going to build a Taco Bell
Even
hill.
though, yeah.
They just aren't. But when it came down to the other businesses, we had businesses interested in moving here, but we didn't have anywhere for their people to live. So what do? You put the cart in front of the horse in front of the cart, the whole, so maybe if we get more of this multifamily, the apartment complexes, those things available, that's more attractive to that manufacturer that has 20 or 30 employees that some of them need a place to live. And the other part is where we did have to live was too expensive.
Yes.
So they're not gonna come in with 20 manufacturing jobs, they're all gonna buy $350,000 split levels. It was just not gonna happen. Or we didn't have the housing available, so it was one of those things, chicken or the egg.
I'm trying to find a.
Some people said, yeah, we'd love to be in Caston, it's a valuable community, it'd be great to put Bruiser, but it just doesn't work for that part. So maybe the housing would help sell some commercial, you know, so that was our big feedback we heard from some of the businesses that were very interested was, there's no place for the people to live close by that work there.
And that's why we're moving forward
That's
on
why
this.
our priority became the multifamily housing.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes, well, years sometimes to get it to work, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
And I think we're open to TIF and that kind of stuff, but just outright,
Giving them
you know, like
stuff.
Byron did with the Byron Business Park, you know, those were 20-year tax abatements. Personally, as a council member and as a taxpayer that lives here in Casson, that doesn't interest me at all to pad somebody else's pocket for 20 years. That has no hook to stay after
Right.
20 years. You know, they can move on to the next community that pays them to, you know, basically gives them free rent and everybody else that lives here. And I've heard that from a lot of taxpayers here is, why should they have to pay for somebody else? They paid for their lot, they're paying $75,000 a lot. Why should they now subsidize the business that wants to come to town? So that's kind of the feedback I get from a lot of people is, we want you here, but you need to, you know, figure out a way that it's beneficial for both parties. Because if somebody moves in a business, that's great, but if they're not on the tax rolls for 20 years,
It's not a
and you
good-
or any of their employees don't live here, what benefit is, besides the utility customer, there's really no benefit to being here. You know, so there's gotta be a, you know, we're interested in incentive packages that make sense. Kinda like the 8-year abatement on the apartment things, that makes sense. You know, some shorter term abatements or TIF, like TIF is always welcome, because that's self-fulfilling, it gets recoverable, so. I think the land that the city owns should be our first priority as far as development. Attracting people to these other lots, well, so maybe the price has to come down on a couple of lots to make it more attractive as well, instead of the city having to pay people to come to it.
And that comes down to the people that own it, do they need to sell it?
Well,
They're sitting at,
and these lots, this road should never have been put in.
No, I mean, if they,
That
that's
was
my
under
thing
the-
is, you
that was
know,
under
we already
the
have
table
some
back
cost
to-
into it, it's like, it would be
Right.
good for us to fill though, I mean, those are a bigger
Right.
priority, because we have, well, plus we have deferred assessments on those lots too, the city would actually benefit from filling those, but yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right, I mean, I guess it's just, it's good to you know, to have a conversation about this periodically and, you know, bring it up and, I don't disagree that, I mean, that's why we've been as aggressive as we have been with this. I mean, realistically, we closed on the Dell property in November for the city to move as quickly as we have.
Right, no, that's lightning fast.
So, okay, well, I don't know if we need anything else right now, think about it, if you come up with anything else for our list right now, so.
send them in,
What's that?
send them in.
Yeah, send them in, please, let Robert or myself know, and we'll keep trying to fine tune that.
There's some stuff on there, you know, 6.6, the farmer's market, local. If we get that food kitchen in town, put something like that, tie with it. I mean, that's all local sourced stuff, you could get people interested in that. I know I've got one farmer in the area that's interested in doing fresh flowers.
Okay.
So she's looking at possibly adding a couple acres of that to have fresh flowers for sale somewhere, that type of thing. So, I mean, that would be a huge thing. Because we really don't have a farmer's market in Casson at all,
No.
do we? Manorville does have
Manorville
one once
on
a week.
Tuesdays. Yeah.
Tuesdays, I think, during the summer.
Yeah, it is. You know, and maybe that's something, but somebody has a big parking lot, you talk to them and see if they can put it into there, you know.
Well, we have a big enough parking lot, they could have it down here.
Well, yeah, but I was just thinking, right there on 57.
Well, yeah, they used to have a big parking lot.
Still
I'll
do.
be interested to see how that coffee, shop integrates into the parking there at Shopko, so.
Yeah. And they're always looking,
That's gonna be done.
March 1st, they're opening.
Yeah, that was what I was told.
That's what they're still saying.
Aggressive, but they do have the building up, so I mean, it may not take that long to hammer it out.
Right.
That's their plan, be ready by March 1st. That's the last I heard.
Yeah,
It might depend on getting supplies.
right.
I see the houses for sale there on the corner by
Sold.
Casey's.
Sold.
It's sold.
Yeah.
Somebody bought it as a home?
It sold for $230, well, I think, what was that, $239 or $237?
237 is what I heard.
So it was
Okay.
sold $5,000 over what the.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I would've,
And it was,
I would've entertained a rezone to commercial, I think it's mixed use anyway, and they, I
Right.
mean,
and it was
Yeah, it's in the highway
estimated
commercial.
at 136 when they put it on the market for 233.
okay. thought there too, but
6 days.
I mean, you talked about housing affordability, and I think that's part of it, is anything under a certain price tag is still just going like crazy. Because, I mean, the 350 mark, I mean, there aren't gonna be that many houses this year that get built that'll be under that.
Oh,
Right.
or that at
The
all.
ones up in Meadowbrook are 425. you know.
Or higher.
The ones there are 6 something for the ones there.
Some of the bigger ones, yeah.
And then you have the common acres will be, yeah.
Just saying. Yeah.
Well, wait, it's not much of a house, there's no lot. I mean, it's...
Well,
Right? Not gonna appraise.
And it's on Highway 57 and another major street.
And it's in a commercial,
It's surrounded.
it's surrounded by commercial.
I mean, it's, I don't know.
Maybe whoever bought it wants to put something commercial there.
Yeah, I mean, if you could take the house out of there, I
Yeah,
mean,
they
but it's
don't-
such a small lot though, really. I don't know what you put commercial in. Once you get a driveway in and a little parking area, you're...
Another coffee shop.
Ice cream shop.
Competition is good.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm told that they like that.
So,
I'm told that coffee shops like to be aggregated in.
They like to have options when they go through.
yeah,
Yeah, cabin coffee.
whichever one's busy, they'll go to the one that ain't.
Well, even up in, so when I moved here from Alaska, those drive-through coffee shops were everywhere in Anchorage. But sometimes there were like 4 on a corner. And I know some of the owners, because we used to do business with them, and they said, we like to build next to somebody else's, because if they used to coming for coffee to that area, they might rotate through them, because you have different specials or different flavors, whatever, but they're always gonna come back for coffee to that area. If you're a one-off and they have to drive over there just to get coffee,
Makes sense.
the odds are they weren't gonna, like, so I'm like, why'd you build that right across the street from the other two? Because people are already coming here for coffee.
Makes sense.
Okay.
I get my coffee at home.
Okay.
Okay.
Under other business.
Other, yes.
I wanted to add, the
Oh,
acceptance of the offer from Trophy Coffee. So the original letter that the committee sent to them was that the property's valued at $100,000, and providing them a $15,000 subsidy, vested over 5 years, and 3,000 increments, so the purchase price would be $85,000. I just heard back from them yesterday, so I haven't drawn up a purchase agreement for them.
So this is, they've accepted that, the
Accepted it.
5,000,
Accepted
they
it with
good?
no contingencies.
And the roof inspection must have come back okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Everything looks good. They got an inspection done.
Good.
So do we need a motion on that to move it forward?
To accept it, yes.
I'll make the motion to accept the purchase agreement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Good.
Good, that's nice.
Now, the 85,000 then will go into the EDA. Fund balance?
The city-owned property.
Oh, that's right, it was EDA. Sorry, never mind, it goes to city-owned property.
Yep. So the only properties that are in the EDA's name are the downtown lots.
Gotcha.
Which, that'll be nice.
Perfect.
Okay?
And then, I guess just one more, just since we're on that,
Mhm.
back to the request for the brewery, the 50,000. We have plenty in our revolving loan fund for that, correct?
We have 79.
79,000, okay, that's what I thought, that's all I need. Thank you.
I couldn't remember how much, but I was looking at that too when this request came across. Okay,
Move to adjourn?
do we want to talk any items for March, or?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay.
I thought, I crossed off right there.
Once it's crossed off, it'll come back.
Oh, okay, well, if anybody has any, otherwise feel free to contact Jim and Robert. Now we'll take your motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you. Sorry, Chris.
No, that's all right, I was...